Greetings, family, and welcome to another edition of KSOL Black Talk Radio, the new black media. Well, family, Facebook, while black, users call it getting zucked and say talking about racism is censored as hate speech. Well, family, if you've been on Facebook, you know exactly what this video is talking about, because I know you too have probably been to Facebook jail. That's when you say something on Facebook and they deem it as hate speech. They deem it as crossing the line, and, well, you get put in Facebook jail. You're banned for 72 hours, 30 days, 90 days, or whatever it is that they put you through. I'm not on Facebook. I've been off of Facebook now for several years, and thank God, I'm glad I am. I've been seeing all kinds of things that's been happening on Facebook ever since I've left, mainly the live streaming and how people were committing murders and suicides on Facebook. And lo and behold, Zuckerberg still is alive and well, kicking it up dust and, well, still making his billions, after this platform has been used for all sorts of devious, downtrodden, rotten things. But anyways, this video is about Facebook while black. That means if you're black and on Facebook, how many times you've been the victim of Facebook's arbitrary, racist handling of speech. They call black speech hate speech because we talk about racism, what they exhibit on a daily basis. And because they control these platforms, they could deem it what they want. And of course, they're deeming our discussion on racism as hate speech. This is white supremacy at its freaking worst. Anyways, it was Spirit Week, and Carolyn Weisinger, a high school teacher in Richmond, California, was cheerfully scrolling through Facebook on a break between classes. Her classroom, with its black and white images of Martin Luther King Jr. and Che Guevara and a, quote, resist patriarchy sign, was piled high with colorful rolls of poster paper, the whiteboard covered with plans for pep rallies. A post from poet Sean Williams caught her eye. On the day that Trayvon would have turned 24, Liam Neeson is going on national talk shows trying to convince the world that he is not a racist. Now, while promoting a revenge movie, the Hollywood actor confessed that decades earlier, after a female friend of his told him she'd been raped by a black man, of course that was her wishful thinking, or perhaps a fantasy of hers, because she claimed she could not identify who the person is. Well, Leon Neeson claimed that he'd roamed the streets hunting for black men to harm. We all remember that. And then right after he told us that story, that's when he went on his little charade of talk shows talking about how he's not a racist, though. But I did a video on that exposing his racist ass. But anyways, for Weisinger, an activist whose podcast, The C-Dub Show, frequently explores anti-black racism, the troubling episode recalled the nation's dark history of lynching when charges of sexual violence against a white woman were used to justify mob murders of black men. And of course, we know that that's exactly what happened in history. White women used their voice to lie on black men, saying that black men tried to rape them. And if a black man did not do what Miss Ann said, she would threaten that she would claim that the black man raped her even when he didn't, just to have sex with him. That white woman was that devious to where she would do just that. But anyways, this isn't about that. Back to the story, she goes on to say, quote, "White men are so fragile," she fired off, sharing Williams' post with her friends. And the mere presence of a black person challenges every single thing in them, unquote. It took just 15 minutes for Facebook to delete her post for violating its community standards for hate speech. And she was warned if she posted it again, she'd be banned for 72 hours. Weisinger glared at her phone, but wasn't surprised. She says black people can't talk about racism on Facebook without risking having their posts removed and being locked out of their accounts in a punishment commonly referred to as Facebook jail. For Weisinger, the Nissan post was just another example of Facebook arbitrarily deciding what talking about racism, or deciding that talking about racism is racist. It is exhausting, she says, and it drains you emotionally. Black activists say hate speech policies and content moderation systems formulated by a company built by and dominated by white men fail the very people Facebook claims it's trying to protect. Not only are the voices of marginalized groups disproportionately stifled, Facebook rarely takes action on repeated reports of racial slurs, violent threats, and harassment campaigns targeting black users. Many of these users now think twice before posting updates on Facebook, or they limit how widely their posts are shared. Yet few can afford to leave the single largest and most powerful social media platform for sharing information and creating community. Well, I am in the minority because I have to tell you that I have stopped using Facebook years ago, and I've been happier ever since. Most of you post vanity, nothing but vain. I can care less about what restaurant you're going to or what time of day you take a shit. Facebook is used for some of the most ridiculous things, but then when we want to use it for something constructive, like coming up with solutions of how to get out of this racist society and make it more civilized, well, you have white people in positions at these companies who come up with rules and guidelines that prevent us from using our freedom of speech. They use these platforms to prevent us from using our freedom of speech. And white people, you have the nerve, the audacity to come to our channels talking about how are we being racist? How is racism being used against us? You have the nerve and audacity to ask us those stupid asinine questions. But I digress. This lady here, right here, Weisinger, this classroom teacher, her name is Carolyn Weisinger. I'm not going to really get on her so much, but if you're watching this video, you can look at her and see that, well, she's a bit manly looking. I'd say she's probably a lesbian, but I am not for sure. I'm just going by what I see of her visually, but I can be 100% wrong. I'm just saying what it appears to be. But I'm never surprised that white media constantly keeps putting the microphones in front of black women and not in the faces of black men. I am not surprised one bit that white media consistently evades black men, and they constantly run up and behind black women to get their points of view. But they don't dare step up to a black man to find out what we have to say. They don't ever want to do that because we're dealing with spineless people who don't have a spine. So she says to avoid being flagged, they use digital slang such as when they say white people, they say WYPIPO, white people, emojis or hashtags to elude Facebook's computer algorithms and content moderators. In other words, we have to play all types of tricks in order for us to get our messages across on these platforms. Black people, we have to play mind games and spelling games and play these childish little games because white people put in these childish rules and regulations against us because they don't want to hear the reality and truth as to how they have actually been. So they call it getting zucked. And black activists say these bans have serious repercussions, not just cutting people off from their friends and family for hours, days, or weeks at a time, but often from the Facebook pages they operate for their small businesses and non-profits. So you see, Facebook, they have their way of getting back at black people when they so feel the need. And this is why integration has been the worst thing for black people here in our country. In our country, that these people are benefiting from our ancestors' hard work, we have to deal with these type of games. Quote, black people are punished on Facebook for speaking directly to the racism we have experienced, says Seattle black anti-racism consultant and conceptual artist Natasha Marin. So the artist Natasha Marin, who this picture is not her, Marin says she's one of Facebook's biggest fans. She created a reparations fund that's aided 250,000 people with small donations to get elderly folks transportation to medical appointments or to pay for prescriptions, to help single moms afford groceries or rent, or to get supplies for struggling new parents. More recently, she started a social media project spreading black joy rather than black trauma. She was also banned by Facebook for 3 days for posting a screenshot of a racist message she received. So you see, Facebook even banned her for posting a message of a racist message that she received from a white person. And because she's black, posting about what another white person did to her, Facebook, with their fake ass. And I'm so glad I'm not on that platform any longer. And I would suggest that all of you leave that platform, sorry ass. But anyways, she says, for me as a black woman, this platform has allowed me to say and do things I wouldn't otherwise be able to do, she says. Facebook is also a place that has allowed things like death threats against me and my children. And Facebook is responsible for the fact that I am completely desensitized to the N-word. Of course, because, see, they know that as black people, we have to deal with the white racist trolls who constantly invade our spaces. They invade our spaces. And we don't even go to their platforms because we don't care. But these platforms, they don't even care about that. They don't care that we don't go to their platforms, but these white racists come to ours. Facebook and all these platforms, they don't care. But anyways, I'm not going to continue with this article because it is quite long. But there's just one more point I want to say before I go. So family, in the end, Weisinger made the same calculation. In February, she decided not to risk being booted off Facebook by republishing her post about Neeson, the actor. Just days before her 40th birthday, she did not want to get thrown in Facebook jail and miss the chance to celebrate with family and friends. But, she says, she wants Facebook to know that in silencing black people, the company is causing themselves harm. Quote, Facebook is not looking to protect me or any other black people or any other marginalized citizen who are being attacked by hate speech, she says. We get trolls, all the time. White trolls, that is. People who troll your page and say hateful things. White people, that is. But nobody is looking to protect us from them. They are just looking to protect their bottom line. Now, family, I'm sure you can agree on this post, on this broadcast that I'm completing, that Facebook is very detrimental to our sanity. They have not been helping us. They do not allow us to have freedom of speech. Therefore, you should quit them just like I did. Hashtag leave Facebook. Leave Fakebook. KSOL Black Talk Radio. Hoping you like and share this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next video. Peace. I'll leave a link in the description.